And we're live. Well, it's coming online live.
Well, let me know when it go directly so I can be ready in that. That's what's wrong with this game, bro.
Honey, it is okay. It is a video.
Hey everyone, sorry we're coming up a little bit late in here. We've been getting some stuff put together for tonight's live because it's going to be an emotional one. I can really feel it.
Yeah. Are we live?
Yep, we're live.
Oh.
While you're doing your makeup.
Welcome. Yeah, welcome to HJW's Talk Therapy and Support. Go ahead, Jess.
So I'm tonight we're going to be talking about a very sensitive subject for a lot of us. Some of us have experienced it directly. If we haven't, we've heard of it. So I'm going to share my screen here, and I guess we're going to get into it. We got someone coming in. Let me move this and get this done. Okay. So we received quite a bit of interest in learning more about stalking and Jehovah's Witnesses, how, if it's happening to us, how to get over it, and this is going to be quite a subject. So with further ado, we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it.
Yes, let's just go ahead and jump into it. And it is definitely going to be a sensitive subject, and any and everybody that's interested in getting into this discussion, please hop aboard, because there are a lot of people that think that shunning is not going on with the Jehovah's Witnesses, but it definitely is. I have it from my personal experiences, and there are many of us that do go through this shunning. So let's get into this.
So before we start going to the panel and talking to everybody, if you're just coming in, the Zoom link is at the bottom. We're going to be letting everybody in for an open discussion about this. But before we do that, let's just get a little bit more into stalking itself. So tonight we're going to talk about what stalking is, whether Jehovah's Witnesses actually stalk their former members, and give some examples of stalking that we have seen in the media. And by media, I mean news. So, quick start, stalking, what is it? I did not change that heading, it still says getting out. Stalking is defined as a conduct that is directed toward a specific person. And it involves two or more occasions of non-consensual communication or interaction. So to put it bluntly, somebody bothering you that you do not want to be bothered with. And it requires two or more. That's significant, because if someone runs into you once and you don't want to speak to them, that's an accident. But if it's happening on more than one occasion and has become a pattern, then we're starting to look at stalking. So some things that we may be familiar with is, now this stuff comes directly from the National Association of Domestic Violence Victims and Support, I believe is the name. I'll show the link and give a website at the end of this discussion. So these things are typically things you see in intimate relationships, familiar relationships, but as we will come to understand, they are exactly the same for a religious organization. So leaving or sending the victim unwanted items or presents. How many times have you had a track or watchtower left at your door, or an invitation to a public talk or the memorial, and they know that you do not want to go? Or you are a former member who's been disfellowshipped or disassociated, and yet, despite all the shunning going on, you still manage to get these things in your house or on your property. Following or laying in wait for the victim. Typically this does not happen, but in some cases, if people run into witnesses in public, instead of allowing them to walk away, they may begin preaching. Now, some of these other things may not be done by the organization, but may be done by people's family members or others within in the congregation. And we've seen examples of this in our own group where people are talking about having their character defamed or spreading rumors, harassing them via the internet. Hey, Dion, tell me about that harassing via the internet.
I actually shared some of that with you all the other day. I've been going through it online as far as the internet stalking from the JWs, and you'd be amazed at how many people are up there like dong ho stalking you because and telling you that you're wrong. I've even been told that we're lying about the shunning, which is the reason why Rena, I think she's supposed to be up here too. She was up here. She was like, that is so mean how they're doing you. And they really, oh, there you go, Rain. I didn't see you. They're really stalking us. It's not a lie. It's definitely true. How you doing, Miss Diane? And yeah, that's what's been going on. Did y'all hear me?
Hey, no, Rain. That was me by accident. I was admitting people okay. And accidentally mute. So yeah, the internet stalking. When you come out and try to speak about things that have happened to you, there's undoubtedly always one or more witnesses ready to combat you with that didn't happen. No real evidence here, but just that didn't happen, or you need to prove your case. So yeah, those are some common signs of stalking. So I kind of want to leave it up to the group today how we want to handle this. In my research about stalking and the witnesses, I came across some very disturbing stories. And I'm not sure if we want to, have a lighthearted discussion before we start getting into the legal and serious ramifications of stalking. Because, typically I just go through the entire program first before we start discussing things, but I believe what's coming up is maybe a bit triggery for some. Yeah. So I want to put that disclaimer out there.
Oh, and then as far as, don't forget, as far as the camera, anyone that comes up here, if you do not want to be shown, although I forgot, you can, Jesse has set it up so that we're not, if you don't want your face shown, I know Raina, you said you're good with it, and Miss Diane, you said you're good with it. Mm-hmm. But if anybody else that decides to hop up here in the discussion, please make sure if you don't want your face shown, you can turn your cameras down, and you can, but she can handle the rest if you don't. You can always let us know if you don't want to be shown.
Correct. So I got controls in here to keep your cameras off, change your names or anything you want me to do. So as always, the discussion is open to everyone, not just those who are out about their experiences, but even those who may want to share anonymously.
I want to look younger and more beautiful.
Huh?
You are already too beautiful. What you want me to do now? All right. So what I'm going to do is, before we turn it over to the panel, I think, Dion, do you think we should just go ahead and talk about some of the things that we've seen in the media?
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead. You go ahead. Raina, you're on mute, right? Okay.
Right, so I'm gonna speak when y'all, when y'all give me the heads up to speak. That's why I put my mic on mute.
Okay. All right.
So we're going to talk about a couple of cases of witnesses stalking and some of the ramifications. I can hear my dog. And so I'm going to share my screen again, and we'll just have a quick discussion about this. This first case is a little close to home. It happened right here in my state, next county over. This lady lived not even 20 minutes from me. She went to a local congregation and was disfellowshipped. So I put a little note here. This is just from the news article, where according to police records and interviews, she battled many problems, including depression, ostracism from the Jehovah's Witness church, as they say, and mental scars stemming from alleged sexual abuse. This woman was so hurt by what happened to her that she committed what they call a murder-suicide. she killed herself and her children. But before doing so, she left a note that they would be resurrected, and that she didn't want to leave that burden of be a burden, excuse me, to her witness family.
Wow.
So like I said, this actually happened locally.
Right.
It was a shock to the community here. Hearing the story, of course, for a lot of us, it's not a shock where this went.
I want to
Go
make
ahead.
a comment about people that leave the Jehovah Witness religion and are in the world all by themselves. One of the things that is of the utmost importance is trying to find friends. And if you are working, then maybe you can start to make friends with baby steps with the people that you are working around. Maybe if you have children, you can start to make friends with the parents of the children that your kids socialize with, or invite neighbors over, or contact old friends people that you used to know, like from high school. Even though they weren't your friends, there may be people that remember you from high school that might want to strike up a relationship, or join a meetup, but something to keep you from being isolated. The one thing I find that being one of Jehovah's Witnesses and being kicked out and losing every family, friend, relative that you ever had is the feeling of aloneness, and the feeling that there is no one that you can talk to and there's no one that understands. And there may not be other people that understand what you're going through, but part of the way to mitigate that is by being around other people, which is hard to do now that we're in a pandemic. But if it's not a pandemic, then you have to find a way to fill your life with people that you enjoy and also that enjoy you.
I agree.
Yeah, and what kills me about this case is they say that the ostracism along with mental scars from being in the organization, and as Ms. Diane said, making friends and keeping yourself busy in the community. And as you make those friends, as you go about trying to build a community of your own, getting the appropriate help. Obviously, in this case, our fellow ex-Jehovah's Witness here didn't get the appropriate help, didn't build herself a community. And as a result, it led to harm, not just to herself, but those of her family. And so, is there anything you want to say, Dion, Raina, about, some of the catalysts of what caused, what happened here with Lauren Stewart?
That's not the first case that I've heard. I've heard other cases prior to hers that a lot of the the ones that come out of the organization, when they don't have the mental health, they seem to like hurt themselves, and they seem to hurt everyone in its in this pathway. And it's sad because if you speak to an elder, or if you speak to any of the servants in the congregation, they'll say that they have no control of how a person feels, or they have no, they have no saying about the mental health. And I'm like, this is part of what happens here. Like, you have an organization, and then the organization basically throw you away, and basically you're stating to other people that you have no control. But you have control, because when you brainwash someone and you tell them over and over that this is what they have to do, and this is the only way out, and this is, if you don't make such and such decisions, then this is what's going to happen to you. It is your responsibility. It is your you're saying, because you brainwashed us already with what you're telling us what we have to do. And so when we leave that and we don't do it anymore, then it's like, what are we to think? Because we're going by what you told us that we have to do. And so I just feel like it's just really heartbreaking that, you know, when you're being told the same thing over and over and over again, and then when you don't do what you're being told or asked, then it's basically your fault. Like you're the blame. And it's like you're not the blame because all of this triggered from all the stuff that you brainwashed me to think. And so when I'm thinking something else, what do you expect from me to act? You know, and it's just really, it's really mind blowing. And I always encourage everybody who talks to me to seek mental health, because that's the first thing that you have to do in order to make it. You know, before you start healing, you know, it's part of the healing, but you really have to seek mental health coming out of there, you know.
And as far as I can say, there's a lot of people that are inside of the organization that are basically acting as if it's not happening, and that's a pet peeve of mine right there, because I'm like really annoyed by the people that are coming. I make certain posts just because I'm trying to make sure I build the group up. I'm trying to keep a certain momentum, and I want to bring certain people within the group that we have. But when you have people on the outside, they're like, "Oh no, that didn't happen. You're lying and stuff." And I'm like, "What are we lying about? You have millions, just like you have millions of Jehovah's Witnesses. You have millions of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and that within that million, there's a lot of people that's in that number of people that have been shunned from their families. We're not making it up that we've been shunned from our families. Why would anybody need to make that up? They're not doing it just because. I don't think a lot of people really want to do that, but I think that once you're brainwashed and you're in a certain trance, then that's what you're set up to do. You're just out there shunning people, and I think it's heartless, it's rude, and it's very insensitive when people come into you and telling you, "Hey, you're lying about it," and this. No, I'm going through it. I've been going through it for years. I know Miss Diane said that she went through it for years. You say you lost your parents and your parents never spoke to you again, right, Miss Diane?
Nope. They spoke to me for like a second because, you know, people in our family died. But as
Mhm.
far as having a relationship, no, no,
Right.
we never did. But the thing is about being out of the Jehovah Witness organization is you have to find a way to get your own life. If you do not, you will spend all your time being bitter about what happened as a result of the relationship, the religion that you were born into or that you're into, whatever the reason is. And I think they win when you do that. So you have to have your own life, whatever it may mean. And a lot of counselors don't understand the issues associated with Jehovah's Witnesses. It's
Exactly.
difficult to find a halfway decent counselor. And so if you're not able to find a different counselor, you're going to have to counsel yourself. You're going to have to spend some time demystifying some of the Jehovah Witness propaganda. You're going to have to find a way to get an education if you never did, because, you know, Jehovah Witnesses frowned on that, or to get a better job because they frowned on that, or to meet somebody that you love outside of the Jehovah Witness organization, you know, or to have children, you know, because you didn't, because you thought Armageddon was going to come. You know, you have to find a way to manage your own life. We cannot spend the rest of our lives talking about what they have done. We have
No.
to figure out a way to resolve our own lives and how we're going to live. Otherwise, you never are free.
And
Right.
I'm trying to get to that to where you're at, Miss Diane. I was talking to I forgot which I was talking to one of our members the other day, and I was letting no I was it was yesterday, and I was letting her know that everybody had to me. I feel like there's stages to this because when I first got out, I was in a different stage than where I'm at now.
Mm-hmm.
Right now I'm at the bitter stage. There are different stages because I want to be where you're at. That's where I want to be, where I'm just like forgetting all of that and not worrying about it and make sure I control my own life. But I've been at the point where I didn't care and I just was living recklessly and free and everything. I just didn't worry about that. But I'm at the point right now where I'm bitter about it. you know, and I have to accept that this is where I'm at in my journey as far as this, and this is the reason why I'm using this platform to, you know, try to heal through this and try to take my bitterness out in a negative way, trying to use it as more of a positive way, to, you know, to help others as well as help myself, because I know I'm very bitter right now. That's where I'm at in my journey. I'm really upset. I'm really bitter about it. And every time I think that the fact that I have so many people that are friends of mine, they're not Jehovah's Witnesses, but they're people that I know, they're close to me. They've lost their parents. You know, they have very good parents. They lost their parents and they mourn for their parents on a regular basis. I have two parents that are living and they could care less about me because, you know, they're within an organization. So I'm really upset about that. The older you get, for me and for where I'm at, the older that I get, the worse I start feeling, because I'm like, dang, I would love to have some, you know, my parents around right now. I would love to be that one to be able to take care of them and help them out as they're getting older, because you need your parents and your parents need you, period. That's just what it is. But they especially need you when they're older. So I would love to be that person. But yeah, I'm at that stage right now where I am bitter, and I'm not gonna let it run my life and everything. But that's where I'm at right now.
Okay. Understand. And I went through that too. I went through that too. I don't know if I was bitter as much as I was hurt all the time, because every day you're confronted with other people and their family relationships. So every day you see a mug that has on it, you know, I love my sister. Or you hear about somebody's parents that they're going on vacation together, or there's a family reunion, or whatever the case may be. So I went through the bitter stage also. I did. And I was very bitter on my wedding day that 50 million people in my family, you know, they didn't even know I was getting married. When this is a long time ago, they didn't care that I was getting married. And, you know, I couldn't have any of my family at the wedding. That's like embarrassing. And it causes other people who don't know you to be like, Dad, what did you do that your family is like not being bothered with you at all? Because a lot of
It
people,
makes you look bad. It makes you look like you the bad person.
yes, you end up looking like the bad guy. You end up looking like the bad guy. So I understand the bitterness. I do understand the bitterness. And it
I
does take time.
right.
Okay, what is Jesse? Can you speak?
Now I can, yeah,
Okay, all
there,
right.
I had,
I see we got another person to join too. What's her name? Yanni?
yeah, I
Yvonne?
was, uh, is there another person? Name
Yeah,
begins with
I think it's
a Y?
Yvonne.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Um,
How you doing, Yvonne?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Just
We're
fine.
fine.
Go ahead,
Did you want
Jesse.
us, wait, hold on. Did you want us to take your name off the screen? Because your full name is coming through and I can remove that for you.
Sure, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm not very tech savvy.
No, it's fine. I like, that's why I like to ask why you're in the waiting room, you know, you'll put your first name and, okay, now you're good.
Thank you very much.
We're all about privacy.
I appreciate it. When you guys were talking about how it, getting angry, and sorry, my 2-year-old is hard to deal with. It kind of reminded me of the death, in the family, how parents are not, your family just disowns you and everything. Everybody does. And I kind of liken it to death, because the mourning process of losing a loved one, and you go through all these different stages of just not believing it's happening, and then you go to like, well, I don't care stage, and then it's a point where you're just angry and it's just eating you alive, and then you go through another spurt, okay, I'm fine, but it's just like a constant wave of all these emotions. It's very difficult, and I found that we can't control those people in our lives. We can't ask them to be a part of our lives because they chose not to be. And that's the shame on them, because they're missing out on so much love and support. And we don't, I view it as non-conditional love. And we have that in us, but they just don't want that. And it's a shame that they don't have, they rather be controlled through religion rather than showing a human affection. That's what has always been a struggle for me.
That's I had made a post the other day. I was like, it's amazing how there's so many people in this world and millions of people in organizations, in our organization, the organization we were brought up in, that will shun their family for 8 men that they never met in their life, and you're shunned.
Yeah, it's really hard.
And so but going back to kind of the dichotomy of the witnesses, you're shunned until they want to push the religion on you or try to encourage you to come back. And so it's an extreme, it's sort of like a narcissistic love bombing almost, because you're bombed with this, we love you, we want you to come back to religion, we love you, we love you, we love you. You need to come back because God loves you, but then at the same time, well, not at the same time, but within the next breath, you're shunned. You're not good enough. You need to repent to come back to us. So it's a very toxic relationship.
I was told yesterday that maybe I should go ahead and forgive my parents and my family members that shun me, because they don't mean any harm. They're only following God's rules, and if that person had a child, they would shun them as well, just because of the simple fact they weren't doing practicing the same religion. They're only doing it out of love, and I should be the one that's apologizing, and I should be giving myself back to them. I should be ashamed of myself for not, for actually even putting information out about them. That's what I was told yesterday.
I think that's ridiculous.
It's
I think
really hard.
I think it's very difficult to go through what you're going through. I think you do have to put it into perspective. But forgiving someone who has hurt you, I think there's a certain thing that I've heard this before, that when you forgive someone that has hurt you, it frees you. It frees you. And I believe that's true. Because
I believe it works for some people, but not everybody. Not everybody gets
Right.
freed by forgiving. For some of us, we forgave our abusers so many times that it's when we stopped forgiving them that we gained power. And I think it can be good for some people, but for some people, it's just another form of abuse, because forgiveness is what made it continue in the first place.
wow. Okay. I guess I'm speaking exclusively about being shunned,
Yeah.
more so than about any kind of abuse.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
So I think that from the shunning perspective, you have to put it into a certain perspective. You have to forgive those people and then act as though those people are dead. Because
Basically, that's what you got. I mean, I feel that. I understand that, and that it does make a difference, because if you are brought up not only as a Jehovah's Witness, but you're also brought up in a dysfunctional family, it really is hard to forgive them. Because I was brought up in both, so it's hard to forgive someone that continuously has abused you over the years, and then you had the nerve to be born and brought up in the cult as well. So it's definitely hard. And I don't think that I've come to the point of forgiveness for mine. I have not come to that point. I've tried to, but I haven't got there.
So, Miss Diane, how do you work past that when, and I'm sorry, this rain right here, excuse me, coming in like this, but how do you work past and try to believe that somebody, worked at that towards that them being dead, if they're constantly stalking you and coming back and calling you and just not leaving you, excuse my language, the hell alone? Because one of the things we're talking about is the stalking, because they may shun you any other time, but during that memorial season and special talk and all, they about to just stalk your house, all types of pamphlets. So what do you do in that situation?
I haven't had a whole lot of that. My parents did send the watchtower, and they, wanted to talk about it off and on, and I was never responsive to it. When I moved, I didn't give my address. When I had a different phone number, I did not give it. If you give it to one person, everybody that's a Jehovah's Witness in your family is eventually going to get it. I just kind of cut off contact, but not in a mean way. It wasn't like, well, I'm never messing with you anymore. I'm moving anyway, and you'll never find me. It wasn't anything like that. I just moved. I just changed my phone number. I just left them alone. I just made it so that it wasn't as easy to be in contact.
So you did what we did, because that was what we did. We just moved, and you know, when they found us, we ended up moving again, and just trying to drop off the face of the earth almost.
I moved to another
I
state
moved
too
out
because
of state.
they were chasing me around for. I got chased for 2 years, but I was like, my 2 years don't have anything to do with the 10 years that I seen. A lot of people was telling me they was like 7 and 10 years they were being stalked, and I'm like, that's crazy. Like that's weird. Like why are y'all bothering somebody? If you don't want to be bothered, go ahead.
I was
I understand what you're saying.
I was not stalked, but what does happen is Jehovah's Witnesses constantly are being pushed to pull everybody who has ever left the organization back in.
So they're pushing people to stalk. They're pushing people to break the law. That's what it sounds like to me. Because stalking is that's an offense. It's a, what do they call it? I mean, it's against the law. I was looking it up today. Huh?
But I don't know what you mean by stalking. Are you mean they're constantly calling you and talking to you about the Jehovah's Witness religion?
Well, when I was going through it, I was constantly getting letters in the mail. I was constantly getting people knocking at my door. If I was out anywhere and they seen me, they were on me. That's exactly what I went through. Anytime I was out, it was like they were watching me. And it came to the point where I was like, my stepfather is a witness as well. So it came to the point where I went to him and I was talking to him about it. He was like, you don't have to open up your door. You know that, right? He's like, that's your door. You're in your home. You don't have to open up the door. That's what made me stop answering the door, because he told me, stop answering your door for him. They were knocking at my door on a regular. My mailbox stayed full of letters from Jehovah's Witnesses.
Did you return them? Just put them return to sender, person unknown?
I was so young back then. I don't even think I knew about mail and stuff for real, because I wasn't taught anything about it until, so I probably just kept the letters, probably didn't even read them or anything, but I knew where they were coming from. They were coming from the witnesses. But I mean, I got them not only from them, I got them from my parents as well. So it wasn't just them.
I think that's something we do need to talk about on this call, or what are things you should do if this is happening. Because when I left, this is Emma, when we left originally, we were under private reproof, I guess, and they were under some type of requirement to track me down and close my judicial committee hearing case or whatever. So I moved, and they found me at my current apartment. They were harassing me, sending tracts. I had a sister come to my door and and I was stupid enough to open it too, interrogate me about my private life, blowing my phone up. This was all in the span of about maybe 6 months that this kept going on and on and on. And it never stopped. What happened was I moved. And even when I moved and I was in another state, they got my new phone number and called me there and disfellowshipped me in another state. And when I came back to the state,
that's really crazy that they did that. But I had a tremendous storyline that, happened to me. And I think that because it happened to me, that the witnesses in this building, the building that I live in right now, I don't know if they're like, I would say bothered. I wouldn't even say bothered. I would say that I think that they're really at fault for what they did. And the thing about it is, now when I pass them, I have a smile on my face, because I say to myself, like, you come knocking at the door after the fact that I tell you no, but you still come back. So after the fact that you come back, I had a scenario for them. And then I think after that scenario I had, I think that that's what threw them to the point where we're just not going to bother this woman no more. Because I mean, it shouldn't even take for a scenario to happen for you not to bother someone, but for the fact that when you put them to a place where they don't see it happening, then it's like, okay, now I'm just going to leave this woman alone. Because now it just dawned to me that I came to her house and, you know, literally it's just not going to happen for this woman, you know. And I just feel like I think that's what I had to do in order for them to leave me alone. Because it was like, I can't go to the police because it's not like they're hitting on me or they're, you know, or they're, let me say, like punching me or anything like that. But it was just to the point where I said, let me just find something to say that I think that is just going to leave them away from my door. And, you know, they just wouldn't come back. And I think that right there, that was freedom to me. I think that was actually freedom, because I felt like I wasn't at no freedom when I had people looking in at me, even though I was gone. Like, I know I literally was away from the organization, but for them to keep coming back, I said, you know what? I think I'm just gonna lay it out and see if they're gonna come back. And they haven't returned ever since I did my scenario. And I think
So
that
should we
that was,
really have to be driven to that point though, where we have to kind
I
of
don't think
go
so.
out of character just to get these
No,
people
but
to
you
leave
know
us
what?
alone?
I'm gonna tell you what happened. I'm gonna tell you a good storyline. I wasn't me. My brother told me, you know, because me and him, we actually got baptized into the organization and we both got this fellowship out of it. But when we did this, because we did it together, when we did it together and we looked at each other, we was like, you know what? We can actually smile now, because I think that we put a point out there. That's just like if you putting a point out there, you know, to prove that this happened and no one believed in you, and then you went back out there and you actually finally got the point across. So basically, you know, let's just say last Saturday, you know, they was preaching and everything. Well, now that the COVID's going on, they really don't stop by door to door, but let's just say before COVID, they was at my door on a Saturday and they was knocking, you know, and the first thing they say is, hello, I would like to, you know, talk about the scripture and everything. And I said, well, I don't want to hear about the scriptures because I'm mentally gone, and I'm mentally gone because of this. And when I said that, I didn't see them no more. After I said that I was mentally gone because of this, they shut their Bibles up and they didn't come back. And me and my brother was like, oh my God, because you said that, they're not coming back. And I said, no, right. Because they don't understand the mental part that this organization played on somebody. And so
Yeah.
when I said that I'm mentally gone, I guess, I don't know if it triggered them or what, but they have not come back after that, you know?
So let's talk about that a little bit, because it leads us directly into the next case that I want to mention before we get off this call here. And this was a family that moved out of state. What's interesting about this case, I heard about it on a television show, ID channel. They do a series called Deadly Devotion, which talks about people with religions that have taken it too far. And this was one of the cases where the family kept trying to come for the grandchildren. While the husband and wife were, you know, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, they left the organization because they were not happy with how the organization handles sexual abuse cases. That keeps coming up in all of these.
All the time.
He eventually left his position as an elder in the congregation and moved his family out of the state. And apparently the day before he killed himself, he found out that his parents had recently learned of their new whereabouts. There was evidence that the parents were petitioning for visitation rights with their grandchildren. They had been trying to keep the children away from the organization, and unfortunately, because of the stalking, because his parents would not leave him alone, because the parents were coming after the children, he ended his life as well as the rest of his family. Another case that, you know, makes me wonder, at what point are are the authorities going to intervene? Because in both of these cases, there were prior red flags. I'll just say there were red flags that this was going to be going in a bad direction when you have people that are stalking and harassing others. So yeah, this was just another case of this. And so it just brings up more, what can we do when they're stalking you? What do you do when they won't leave you alone? And in this case, what do you do when they're going after your children?
Yeah, because even a movie that I shared on I shared the movie The XJWs. Even that lady, even that she was an actress in there. She even was trying to take the little baby away from the girl. I mean, her daughter, because she was like, her daughter, the baby needed to be brought up with the witnesses, and the baby was gonna end up dying because she wasn't with the witnesses and everything. And they showed the lady basic. Did you see that yet, Miss Diane or Yvonne? Did either one of you guys see that?
Apostasy or whatever the name of it.
Apostasy. Yeah. Had you seen that, Yvonne?
I don't think so. I don't remember seeing it
I
at
had
all.
posted that in a group. Actually did a watch party the other day, streamed it from another group. She had it on hers. The movie is so on point. It's a gloomy, doomful movie. I don't know if that's even a word, but that's what it was. But she was literally taking the baby away trying to take the baby away because the baby needed to grow up as a witness, or the baby would be doomed or whatever. But I say to your question, Jesse, I think that we need people that are being stalked, I don't have to go through that no more. I've been gone for years. But if you're being stalked, I feel like you should call the cops. Stalking is illegal. It's not anything that's legal. I think that if you're going through it over and over again and it's something constant, that is stalking, and I feel like you should involve the cops. The Jehovah's Witnesses do not like to deal with the cops. So I feel like that you should call the law.
No, they don't.
Remember that threshold that was mentioned in the legal definition 2 or more times. So if you told them no twice and they come back, then you have the right to involve the authorities, because at that point it's become a harassment situation. And unfortunately, I didn't do that. Dion didn't do that, but we're telling you, go ahead and do that, because it can be rough the first couple of years you're out.
Yeah, because you can feel like, man, you can feel guilty. That's what I would have felt. I would have felt guilty. I never even thought about the cops period until now. But you can feel guilty about calling the cops on people that you have been around for all your life. That these people are in your life. These are people that you have you put them on a certain pedestal. You have a certain amount of respect for them. So therefore, you don't want to call the cops on them. But if you decide that you want to leave a situation, it's not against the law for you to leave a situation, but it is against the law for somebody continuously bothering you. When it becomes a bother, it's stalking. So you need to involve the cops. That's the only thing I can think to do, unless you want to just be ratchet and curse them out. That's the other thing.
I mean, being ratchet works too. I mean,
it works.
Well, like I said, they don't like the word mental, and I think that triggered them. So when I said I was mentally gone because of this, I think that right there just triggered them out and said, you know what, I don't want to mess with this woman no more. And I mean, it shouldn't have took me to say mental, but it just really just took a toll on it, and and I mean, it is the truth. It took a mental.
don't say that and be like, you
yes,
driving me mental up in here.
Right. So yeah, I would just say, mentally gone. I mean, sometimes saying things that hits their alley push themselves away, and it shouldn't,
maybe
like Dion said, it shouldn't take like that.
I'm an apostate. How about that? I mean, maybe you can use that.
Right.
As well.
I mean, maybe I'm building the ark to escape, but I'm escaping without you, I don't know.
And then what do you do about people that are getting all the letters? So I've seen so many people drop their letters. Oh wow, I've been hit today. Because right now they're in the they can't go knocking on doors because of COVID. So now the post office is making so much money off of the witnesses because they sending off so many letters. You feel me? They getting paid right now. So when you get the letters, what do we do about the letters? And what Jesse said a while ago, I guess no. I think it was Miss Diana said a while ago. Let's just send her back.
Return to sender.
Return to sender. Yeah. Don't take it.
Yeah. Return to sender. Yeah.
So you got the cops
saying, "Leave me alone."
Exactly. Leave me alone. So you got the cops. You can involve the cops. You can be ratchet, and then as far as the letters, you can just return the sender.
But
and
I would also make a copy of any evidence that I had that I was being written, because those letters are usually signed by a specific person. I got one letter in the mail, but my letter was handwritten very neatly, and it had a person's name on the bottom, and I think it had some contact information.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was something they did say, keep a copy of everything. So when you get, if you have that, you know what congregation it comes from, make a copy of it before you send it back.
Okay, that's a good idea too.
Put it back in there, take the envelope up, don't put no postage on there, and put return to sender. You know, person unknown or something like that. You can go back to them. I would do that very much.
Let me ask y'all a quick question. This is way off the discussion topic. But did you guys feel pressure to come in here to this room tonight to join this room? Isn't it wonderful to like come into a discussion and you're able to not even raise your hand, but you're able to just speak out and say how you feel, and you didn't feel pressure to come here?
I was gonna ask y'all, maybe down the line we should have a discussion about those, that got forced into marriage, because I just want to know their viewpoint about how they felt about going into a marriage and they really didn't even know the brother like that. Like, I don't know how I would have felt if that happened to me. Thank God that didn't happen to me. But I mean, a lot of my, my friends that, I talk to now, they was forced. And,
yeah, I think that's a good discussion for
That's a good discussion, Raina. Very good discussion. Because I was definitely forced into getting married.
And I think there was someone else in the group that told their story. They were also.
Yeah, I wasn't married to a brother, but I was forced to go ahead and marry the person that I was dating because that's just what Jehovah's Witnesses do. I was 18. I shouldn't have been married.
Yeah. If you are having sex with somebody or thinking about sex, you have to be married. You can't have
they won't let you even look at him.
That, when you are a Jehovah's Witness, you can't just go out there,
Yeah.
It's not like you can date like normal people, because who's to say if you get with one person and then boom, that's the person that's supposed to be in your life? No, I wouldn't even think twice about the person I was married to now. I mean, I'm a whole different person from back when I was 18. I was still a kid, but I was forced into getting married.
Maybe we'll talk about that after we can close out the shunning, and we can probably keep, because it's coming up on 7, so we should probably close out the live before we discuss some stuff, because I got some stuff to say about that too.
Yes, I would love to.
Thank you so much, everybody. I mean, anybody else want to jump in? We got like 6 minutes.
We got a couple minutes. You want to jump in on this call? Feel free.
Yvonne, did you want to say anything else?
I appreciate you posting the schedule. I will probably only be able to participate on Wednesday nights. But
guess what? You're not going to have to go into the back room, and we're not going to come and chase you down and try to find out the reason why you're not there. You won't get that from us, okay? We're not going to stalk you.
Knock on my door and want to know if I was sick.
We're not. Look, we're just not going to do that. We want you to have that. We want to have you to have your own mind to be able to do that if you choose to do that. If you don't want to come,
oh no, she missing too many meetings. I might have to make. I might have to tell the elders for her.
I didn't come because I was sick. That's why.
Okay.
Look, guess what? You don't even have to give us an explanation, because guess what? It's your life, and you should be able to do your life like you want to do your life.
Yeah. Well, Yvonne, anything else you want to say about the stalking before we leave our listeners or watchers? What do you call people?
I know that I was kind of scared just to go around places. I didn't even want to leave the home. Because I might run into some friends, and it was just, what are you doing? Why are you making these decisions? Why are you acting like this? This is not you. and you're such a bad person, when realizing now that no, I'm not a bad person. This is just how, this is my human emotions. This is how normal humans act, and we have needs, and we don't need to be married. And I know the last time I had a meeting, I was privately reproved, and the brothers were like, well, you should probably get married. And I was married to in a very abusive and controlling marriage for 10 years. And luckily, the only way I was able to get out of that marriage was him cheating on me. And I had proof, and I was able to get a divorce, thank God. But then the brothers wanted me to get married after I committed sins. And I was like, I'm not getting in another abusive. What if this ends up to be abusive? I don't have the greatest choice in men because I wasn't taught
Right.
get a good man. All I know from growing up, women, you are below your man. You do not have a say. At least in my family, we were taught women, your only reason for life is to obey your husband, to be a good wife and do whatever your husband says, and raise your children in the religion, and don't take a misstep. So it was I'm like, I don't have the best choices. I don't know how to deal with people out of the congregation. And I don't know.
How long you been out, Yvonne?
It's been 2 years. They told the last time I was I had been privately reproved, and I got pregnant and I had my son, and my partner now, he's an awesome man. I'm really thankful. I lucked out. He was also raised as a J-dub, but he chose when he was younger that he didn't want to be part of it. And he just, he was never baptized or anything. So we had a connection there. But the last thing that really set me off was them telling me that if I didn't change my life and come back to the truth and do better, then my children would die. And I'm like, wait a minute.
That's so mean.
I was like, wait a minute, God is loving and kind. And isn't it in the Bible where it says that the children will not suffer from the father's sins? And so it was that just Mama Bear came out. I have 2 older children besides I have 3 children altogether. But that really hit me. And I got really angry, and I was like, this is bull crap. No way in heck does God hate children. And no. I'm done. And my kids were like, well, what if we can't get to the paradise? And my dad keeps telling them, well, it's a shame that you're not doing what Jehovah wants you to do because your children are going to die. And I'm like, my kids overheard a phone call I was having with my dad.
That's
and
so mean.
Ooh.
Like, you know what, Dad, I'm going to go.
That is so mean. And that can
That
be
is
something that's
mean.
stuck in their head for the rest of their life just because they said that mess.
Yeah.
But look, what we're gonna do is we're gonna change this over to a private conversation for just us. I want to thank everybody for coming through and pulling up on the Zoom tonight. Join us again. I think we're gonna have something going on this weekend. But definitely join us next week for any discussions. Mondays, we have discussions. Wednesdays, we have discussions. We have some events coming up. If you want to see the calendars is going to be in the announcements. So make sure you check the calendar out for any announcements. Want to thank everybody for joining. Join in on any extra Zooms. Thank you so much for joining the group. Welcome everybody new. Welcome everybody that's older that's been in here. And this is XJW Talk Therapy and Support. Thank you. We're out.